What's up, guys? This is Saiyan here, coming at you with another Star Wars CCG deck profile. I'm recording this on the 4th of May, so may the 4th be with you all, and I thought it would be only fitting to cover one of my main decks. It is a main deck indeed, Ralltiir Operations. However, I will be taking apart this current version because I want to build a slightly different deck, but still using many of the cards. And very important, obviously, using Ralltiir Ops as the objective. So let's start with our objective then. Here are Ralltiir Ops, obviously one of the best dark side operations. It allows us to deploy Ralltiir system, and once during each of your deploy phases may deploy from reserve deck to Ralltiir one site, non-unique Imperial. At Ralltiir locations, each rebel is deployed +2. So immediately we start off the bat having a really strong sort of Imperial base on Ralltiir, and we're able to pull, basically our zero destiny stuff out of the deck, which is obviously just really amazing. And it's very easy to flip this card as well. If Imperials control at least 3 Ralltiir sites and opponent controls no Ralltiir locations, then you flip it. So realistically, even with a bad starting hand, you should be able to have this flipped by your third turn, because you can pull out obviously those locations with this side. And then we move into In the Hands of the Empire. This is the real big payoff here. Um, Opponent's force drains are -1, just straight up, which is immediately fantastic. Puts you right into the rider's seat. At Ralltiir locations, each rebel is deployed +2. Makes it very difficult for them to come to Ralltiir and try and mess with you. At all locations, add X to your total battle destiny, where X numbers the Ralltiir locations your Imperials occupy, not control, just occupy. And that's probably going to be a 4, let's be honest. So just being able uh, to add +4 to your total battle destiny at any location is phenomenal. Um, and then doesn't even end there. Once during each of your control phases, you may use 2 force to take any one card into your hand from the reserve deck and reshuffle, which is just crazy. Like, once you flip it, turn 3 onwards, you are going to be able to handcraft exactly what you're going to be wanting to play. So, absolutely phenomenal objective. It's just it's such a cool one. Okay, so let's see. Obviously, the starting location will then be Ralltiir because of our objective, and we really don't care much about the text because we're not running Devastator. But what's cool about it is that it doesn't give any force to our opponent. So obviously, yeah, starting the first turn, we're only going to be generating 2 plus whatever our opponent may be playing, which is not going to be a great lot. But again, with a slightly okay starting hand, we will be okay, and the ops will allow us to definitely pull out a site to put on Ralltiir. And as you will see with our opening effects, we will also be able to pull out docking base. So realistically, coming our second turn, we should be able to generate at least 4 force plus whatever our opponent may give us. Um, so let's look at what we work with. Unsurprisingly, prepared defenses is our starting interrupt. Nothing needs to be said about this card. Looking at the starting effects, we have the combined Imperial Arrest Order and Secret Plans. Secret Plans can, the Secret Plan side can be pretty useful, um, especially if you come up against like um, the um, the light side, destroy the bunker deck, or you come up against, God forbid, uh, um, the episode 1 pod racing. It's nice to have the secret plans, just one of your opening effects. But really, what is very, very strong with this card is the Imperial Arrest Order side. Um, Unique Imperials of ability less than 3 are forfeit +1. It does it does sort of nerf Nabaran leads and Ellis Hurlrut. These names, God. Um, and once during each of our deploy phases, may deploy one docking bay from reserve deck. And that's really what um, is probably the most important early game. And then when the secret plan side kicks in, that is just an added benefit there, of course. We also have mobilization points. This will allow us to generate more force, although many decks will probably run effects that will shut down the extra force generation. But even if so, you can still pull out a number of planets from your deck. So you can pull out a Karita, Wakilmui, a Gal, a Quat, or Rendili. Now we're running Wakilmui, Quat, and Rendili, and it can also pull out an Executor. You can only do this once per game, and I would normally probably pull out Executor with it. But just being able to pull a planet out is also pretty good with mob points. It really kind of depends whether you think you're gonna be able to flip Ralltiir Ops actually on turn 3 or not. If you do need a little bit more force generation, it might be worthwhile getting one of the planets. Or obviously, if you have um, Executor in your hand, then yeah, of course, definitely pull out one of the planets. Um, but if you know you're going to be flipping Ralltiir Ops, then again, you don't really need to worry about saving this for Executor because you're just going to be able to pull it with the operations. And then finally, we have Crush the Rebellion. Crush the Rebellion is really in there for being able to pull the docking base. Once per turn, may take one I Have You Now or Evader into hand from reserve deck, reshuffle. A mobile site's opponent draws no more than 2 Battle Destinies, and Evader is immune to sense. I apologize, this isn't the one, obviously, that's going to be pulling the that's Imperial Arrest Order. This one is in there to be able to pull Evader, and it's also in there to basically stop our opponent from drawing more than 2 at mobile sites, which is really useful for them perhaps having the home 1 docking bay out or anything on Cloud City. Can be really good to have this Crush the Rebellion out for, but it's to pull Evader. So with our starting effects, let's look at what we can actually pull onto Ralltiir. Sorry, I would say the starting effect, the objective. We'll be able to pull us any one of these 4 sites, so we can get a forest. The cool thing about it is that your characters present here are immune to attrition, which is fantastic. If you think about how difficult it is already for your opponent to get to Ralltiir, particularly when you flip it, this is just going to be absolutely mind-blowing to have out. We have a swamp. The swamp, once during each of your deploy phases, may deploy 1 creature free, reserve deck, reshuffle. This can be very useful to allow you to have a look through your reserve deck and kind of determine what actually is in your force pile. We don't run any creatures, but that doesn't mean that you can't try and search for one and then fail to find. So that is always a useful little strategy there. Then we have jungle. Your aliens and creature vehicles are each power +1 here. We have a few aliens in the deck, and so that can become useful if you do have to, if your opponent does come after you and like, okay, now I'm going to put an end to your Ralltiir situation, then this again is a very useful location there. And then finally we have a spaceport docking bay. Your docking bay transit from here requires a 2 force, and your starfighters deploy -1 here. We can take advantage of the minus deployment cost, but also really importantly, being able to have a docking bay on Ralltiir will allow us to go and occupy, potentially control, most likely control our other docking bays as well, which should also be able to give us some extra benefits. So any 4 of these can be pulled with Ralltiir Ops, but remember this docking bay can also be pulled with Imperial Arrest Order. On top of this, we're running the usual dark side docking bay. So we have Death Star 2 docking bay. We have Coruscant docking bay from, this is special edition. And we have the Executor docking bay. So you will see the big fuss about the docking bays for anybody who's new to the game and just stumbled upon this video is that, first of all, you can pull them with Imperial Rest Order, and secondly, these particular ones don't give any force generation to your opponent, which means that he can only your opponent can only come here if they pay the heavy cost of transit. So to get to the Death Star 2 docking bay, they have to pay 8 force plus whatever the excess cost is to be able to leave another docking bay that will add up. To get to Coruscant, we require transit here requires 3 force. Transit from here requires 3 force. Transit to here requires plus 8 force. I apologize. This actually says ignore other docking base text. It will just cost 8. And to get to the Executor will require 9 plus 9, and to come here will require 7. So it will be very, very difficult for your opponent to generally come here unless they have spies. Of course, if they have spies, then they can deploy to these docking bays. But we do have a couple of cards in the deck, naturally, that are kind of like our general problem solvers, so to say. So this is it for the overall sites that we have in the deck. Again, we can just play around with these. And then in terms of space, actually we only got 2 planets we can pull with mobilization points. We can pull Quad, which is really cool because your starships may move as a react for free to a battle here. So if Quad is threatened, you can just move your starships here, which is really cool. And even more cool when we have Wakilmui and Quad out, because that will mean that Wakilmui will generate 3 force for us and none for our opponents. And again, it's fantastic. Plus, they are also in neighboring sectors. They're only 1 parsec away from each other. Super easy for us to cover this region. And then the third one, I did say that we're running, I think I said we're running Rendili. We're not. We're running Coruscant. Of course, we run Coruscant. That allows us to not only have the docking bay down, but actually have the planet down, of course. This being parsec 0 will mean that the other 2 planets are also very, very close by. And Ralltiir is only 3, which means we realistically can very, very easily cover all 4 of these planets with our spaceships in space. And of course, Coruscant generates 2 force to us, none to our opponent. And if you control with a Star Destroyer, force drain plus here, an opponent may not deploy rebels to related sites. So we really want to establish control here because we want to get the Emperor out into play. And to be able to do that, we either want to have Coruscant docking bay or Death Star 2 docking bay, or a ship at one of those places where he can deploy. So this is the total of the locations in the deck. And let's look at our space package then. It's only fitting considering we just looked at our systems. So naturally, the first card, the biggie, we're running Executor. This is the Dagobah edition of Executor, so not flagship Executor. And the main reason why I think most players tend to prefer this card is because you get the immediate immune to attrition less than 12, whereas with the flagship Executor, you need to have the flagship operations out in play as well to grant, it grants a complete immunity to attrition, but this will give you that attrition off the bat. Now, that also costs a little bit less. I think the flagship Executor is only a cost of 12. This is 15. But nevertheless, it's still worth the investment because it is just an absolutely phenomenal ship. If you can get anybody up there to pilot Executor, you will immediately get your Destiny draw as well, because the 3 permanent pilots will provide a total ability of 3. It's a really good fantastic card, and of course searchable, as we've already discussed. Some of the space problem solvers, we have Boba Fett and Slave 1. The 7 cost shouldn't deter you from playing this card, because again it does deal with most problems that you will come across in space. Permanent pilot is of course Boba Fett. He provides ability of 3, adds 3 to power, adds 2 to maneuver, and draws on Battle Destiny if not able to otherwise. You meet attrition less than 5. So for 7 investment, you get a 7 power ship with 6 maneuver that straight off the bat draws Battle Destiny and is immune to attrition less than 5 with a hyperspeed of 4. As I said, it can cover all the sectors that we have in the deck straight up. The next one is Dengar in Punishing 1, another fantastic ship. Only costs 5. You get a little bit better attrition. Sorry, not attrition. Forfeit value. You actually get a 5 on Boba Fett Slave when you get 4. Dengar provides ability of 2, not really a problem. Realistically, adds 2 to power, and when in battle, adds 1 to total battle destiny for each opponent's starships present. So whilst yes, you are going to need somebody else to come across, but if you do end up having, for example, these 2 guys out, then you will get that destiny no matter what. And realistically, just being that second one when in battle adds 1 to total battle destiny for each opponent's starships present. The more your opponent has, the better Dengar becomes generally. Zakus in Miss Hunter, another one that draws Battle Destiny off the hook straight up, 6 cost. Permanent pilot is Zakus, obviously provides ability of 4, so it draws Battle Destiny straight up, S2 to power, so you get a 4 power ship, 3 maneuver, and the really important part, unless opponent has a total ability of higher than 6, piloting here opponent's total destiny here equals 0. So they still draw it, but it will equal 0. That's pretty powerful. And we of course do have Bosk in Hound's Tooth. I always loved how he's like superimposed in there into that little can. Anyway, another great ship. Bosk provides ability of 2, adds 2 to power, and adds 1 battle destiny. Deploys and moves like a starfighter. So realistically, you know, if you get these 2 out, you still get your battle destiny, plus you get another one from Bosk. These 2 together for a cost of 13 will get you 2 battle destiny draws and some really, really epic sort of space cover. Now we do need a couple of potential pilots as well, and particularly for Executor. So we have Admiral Ozzel. Admiral Ozzel is amazing because he deploys for free, adds 2 to power of anything he pilots, so he's going to be able to go and pilot some of our combat vehicles as well that I'm going to get to in a minute. Subtracts 1 from deploy cost of each of your capital starships. So when we look at our guys, obviously that's going to make these 2 a little bit cheaper. Hound's Tooth with Bosk and Executor. And for a body that comes down for free, that's pretty nifty, pretty good. Unfortunately, if Vader is on the table and your opponent reacts to Ozzel's side, then you lose him. But yeah, still, you know, you play for free. We also have Admiral Piet, one of my favorite characters, actually from Star Wars. Deploys -2 to Executor, adds 2 to power of anything he pilots, 3 if it's a Star Destroyer. So he's immediately going to make our Executor a power 15. Your capital starships deploy -1 to same system. Once per game, you may take 1 Admiral's Order or any commander into hand from reserve deck. We don't have any Admiral's Orders, but we do have, I believe, 2 commanders in the deck that we can search for. No, we only have 1 commander. We have Commander Igar. to search for. But again, it's not a lost effect. We can still get that, or ability, I should say. We got Chizor. Again, he's really good with piloting anything. When in battle at the side, draws on battle destiny if not able to otherwise. Very useful. Total ability of 6 or more is required for your opponent to draw battle destiny, and he has immune to attrition less than 5, while Vader is not here. Vader can be on the table, but not at the same location as Chizor. And so what Chizor is going to allow us to do is, if kind of like we need to have somebody out there to deal with situations, Chizor and Vader are somewhat interchangeable. We normally will want to send Vader out to deal with things, but to get our Emperor bonus effect, we need to have Chizor or Vader at the same side as he is. So that's another reason why we have Chizor in there. We have Dr. Evazan and Pona Baba. They add 3 to the power of anything they pilot. They don't want to mess with anybody who's got a lightsaber. Be careful with that. But it's really cool. Draws on battle destiny if not able to otherwise, and may target one character that was just hit to make it lost. That is a very, very, very good ability. Somebody being hit and immediately getting them lost means that they're not going to count their power, they're not going to count their ability, anything when we get to sort of leave the weapon segment in battle. And then we have Lieutenant Cabal. Cabal, again, will be really good at piloting a starship, so he's like in there to potentially run the Executor if we want to. When in battle with an Imperial leader, subtracts 1 from opponent's total battle destiny. Just another really good, useful stuff for a 2 cost, particularly great. Remember that all of our Imperials with ability less than 3 are forfeit +1, so he's going to be the first of these units. I say first, but I do tell a lie. Ozzel as well will have the same treatment, having forfeit +1. And actually, we do have another commander, so I did think that I had 2. Lieutenant Commander Arden, which is also searchable with Piet. If at a side draws on battle destiny, if not able to otherwise, immune to attrition less than X, where X is the number of opponents' aliens present. So kind of nice to have this guy just around. Another cool. He's not a pilot. He's only a warrior, but very, very useful abilities there. So this is our general sort of pilot admiral space package, and let's see what we have on the ground. So we run a plethora of combat vehicles. Many of these units can go into any of the locations on Ralltiir. In fact, I think they can all go to any of the locations on Ralltiir. So if we do need to protect Ralltiir, we can do that. Absolutely. We can just chill on Ralltiir, let our opponent come to us, and then we beat them down. We're going to be generating a lot of force there. We're going to be probably generating additional force drain against them. So yeah, let them come to us. Let them deal with us being the problem. But again, if we need to solve problems, we can always throw a couple of combat vehicles and a Vader or something at the problem. So we got Blizzard 2. One of the main reasons Blizzard 2 is favored versus Blizzard 1 is that we obviously don't run the destroy the main generator or any of that stuff, and the permanent pilot will give us ability of 2, so we're only 2 away from drawing battle destiny. And also the armor 8 is a pretty good stuff to have on this unit, whereas Blizzard 2 is a power 7, armor 7. That +1 armor can be very useful. We have Tampa Scout 1. Tampa Scout 1, another nifty little unit, may move as a react for free, which is just super important when Arna piloting immune to attrition less than 4, and that's 1 attrition against opponents. We also have Tampa Scout 3, may deploy or move as a react to a forest or site. Obviously we have forest, so we can this unit can give us extra defense on the forest. on Ralltiir. And permanent pilot provides ability of 2. Again, very, very good to have that immediate 2. And the permanent pilot, obviously Tempest Scout 1 will need a pilot as soon as it comes down. We also have Tempest Scout 5. May move as a react. Permanent pilot provides ability of 1. Adds 1 to your total power in battles at same site for each of your other piloted combat vehicles present. So that could be 2, 3, 4, 5 even. We also have Tempest Scout 2. Tempest Scout 2 may add 2 pilots or passengers, may move as a react. Immune to attrition less than 3 when Marquand piloting. Your scouts may move here as a react. Naturally, we have Major Marquand to pilot it. Adds 3 to power of any combat vehicle he pilots, so that will make this guy immediately a 6 combat vehicle. When piloting a combat vehicle with Watts, may add 1 battle destiny if not able to otherwise. And if that vehicle has immunity to attrition, adds 2 to immunity. We don't have Watts in the deck, but it's really cool to have just sort of this setup. Also have Tempest 1 with another permanent pilot. Immune to attrition less than 4. Permanent pilot gives ability of 2. Each of its weapon destiny draws +1. We're not going to be using that, but just generally having another one with a permanent pilot is pretty important. So that's 6, and we also have Blizzard Scout 1. Blizzard Scout 1, again, comes with a permanent pilot, provides ability of 1, may move as a react. So just another one for the AT ST lineup. We have Commander Igar. As I mentioned previously, he adds +3 to any combat vehicle he pilots when piloting Tempest 1. Of course, Tempest 1 is right here. Or any non-unique AT. AT adds 1 battle destiny when in battle with Veers or Tag. May use 2 force to cancel and redraw 1 just drawn battle destiny. Well, we don't run Tag, but we do run Veers. Obviously, Veers is just so good on many of these vehicles. Veers is immediately a free deployment on top of Blizzard Scout 1. That's one of the main reasons why it's also worthwhile to have Blizzard Scout 1. You can basically save 2 force. Adds 2 to power of any combat vehicle he pilots, or 3 if an ATST. When piloting Tempest Scout 1, which is here, then draws on battle destiny if not able to otherwise. Opponent may not react to or from same side. So he's good on Blizzard 2 because he will add +3 power. He comes down for free on Blizzard Scout 1, and on Tempest Scout 1 he draws on battle destiny if not able to otherwise. So he's super versatile, and he's happy to drive most of these vehicles, to be fair. But I'm going to put him on the Blizzard Scout 1 just because you get the free deploy. That was Arnett. I was about to talk about General Veers. Yes, so General Veers, power +1 at same side as Admiral Ozzel. We have Ozzel. Adds 1 power of each Imperial at same Hoth site. Very unlikely, but it could be useful. Adds 3 to power of any combat vehicle he pilots on Blizzard 1. Also adds 1 to armor and power and draws on battles and not able to otherwise. But again, as I say, the main reason I don't want to run Blizzard 1 is because, generally speaking, Blizzard 2 is perhaps a little bit more useful. And anyway, Veers is very similar to our ATST pilots, whereas he's just good on anything, really. And of course, we do have 3 copies of ATST pilots. These guys are phenomenal. Adds 2 to power of any combat vehicle he pilots when piloting an ATST in battle. Adds 1 to his forfeit, draws on battle destiny if not able to otherwise, and cumulatively adds 1 to your attrition against opponent. Least not to say, ability of 2, which means they will all also get +1 forfeit value because of Imperial Arrest Order. So that's pretty phenomenal so far. Let's look at our problem solvers then. So we have, for problem solving, 2 copies of Vader with lightsaber. Not much to be said about this card besides it's absolutely phenomenal. In case you need a pilot in a ship, or you need a pilot into any of the combat vehicles, he's going to add +3 to power. But really, he's got the permanent lightsaber. You draw 2 Battle Destiny. Target is hit and his forfeit equals 0 if Total Destiny is higher than the defense value of that guy. So you just you kind of take care of things with Vader. In similar vein, we also have Mara Jade with her lightsaber. Just another one to kind of take care of things. Adds to the power of anything she pilots. Power +2 if Emperor is on table, so very likely she's going to be a power 6. May be targeted by Vader's Obsession, Epic Duel instead of Vader. Once per game may deploy her weapon, and she's immune to attrition less than 4. Her lightsaber adds +1 to force drains. That immediately is really good. And besides that, it's the same effect as Vader's built-in saber, so you draw 2 Battle Destiny. And creature or target for free, and target hit and its forfeit is 0 if the destiny is higher than their defense value. Pretty amazing. And final problem solver, Forlom with concussion rifle, just in case we come across something very pesky and we want to negate their game text for the remainder of the turn. Yeah, so that's basically what Forlom is in for. And then, of course, naturally, we do have the Emperor in as well. I can't and I don't want to afford the Death Star 2 Emperor. I think this is perfectly fine for most decks. It gives you an Emperor for your deck, and that's all I really need here. Deploys only to Coruscant or Death Star 2. Never moves to a side, and it cannot even be carried to a side where there is occupation by your opponent. If Vader or Chiz are here and Luke is not on table, that's 2 to attrition against opponents at other locations immune to attrition. So hopefully you can take care of their Luke. And perhaps the combination of Forlom and Vader. Get them out of the picture. Keep Chizor by the Emperor, and you're gonna have +2 attrition against all the battles in your opponent, which is pretty fantastic. Now, if you don't see the Emperor, no big deal, but obviously it does make a couple of things. It genuinely will help us with being able to get rid of our opponent's warriors from, well, any characters from battles a little bit quicker. A couple of effects in the deck as well. We have a lateral damage just to completely mess with one of our opponent's starships. Usually this is going to target a Millennium Falcon. Presence of the Force, to be able to deploy to a location where we don't have dark side Force icons. This will allow us to actually have dark side Force icons, or potentially you can use it to get an additional Force drain in at a particular place where your opponent is not really going. So that can be good for as well. Bad Feeling Have I, just pretty much a staple for any dark side deck, making all the light side mains a lot more, well, +2 costs, and your opponent may not play any cards with the words Bad Feeling in the title, which can be more relevant than some people might think. Now, obviously, we're running a very heavily Imperial deck, so I got 2 Imperial commands. If I had 3, I would run 3. Probably not more than that, because it is a used interrupt, but it is just an absolutely phenomenal card. So the Destiny 4 is immediately pretty good. Take 1 Admiral or General into hand from reserve deck, reshuffle, or if your Admiral or General is in a battle, you may either add 1 Battle Destiny or prevent the opponent from drawing more than 1 Battle Destiny. It's never gonna be a deck card. It's just never gonna be a deck card. It's just so good, super good. I actually am probably thinking about getting a 3rd one. 2 copies of Imperial Barrier, again, doesn't really need much explanation. Your opponent drops something, you stop him from battling that turn. We have one copy of Circle is now complete. If our opponent has particularly Ben Kenobi or Obi-Wan with lightsaber, obviously the two very often used ones, it will allow you to sort of kind of deal with that a little bit easier. If you know, obviously you can just get Vader there. But also, either Jedi is +2 if they have a lightsaber. Loser of the duel is out of play. Now, we do know that our Vader is immediately going to have a lightsaber. So he's immediately going to come down with +2 force. Sort of +2 power, sorry. And if our opponent plays Ben Kenobi, for example, and they haven't got a lightsaber out, then very likely we're going to be the winners of that battle. Destiny 6. 2 copies of Trample. Naturally, we got to run Trample if we run ATs, and ATSTs, particularly with the amount that we are running in here. Target opponent character, crashed vehicle, or unpiloted vehicle with maneuver present will be the target. You draw Destiny. Character is lost if Destiny is higher than ability. Vehicle is lost if Destiny is less than 7. So again, it's just a really good way to kind of get rid of some sort of maybe lower ability characters, and very importantly, if you're tracking a couple of good Destiny values, then it might be able to deal with a Luke, you know. So yeah, very good. We also have an Omnibox and its worst combo card. Again, really good Destiny value there. Sometimes shuffling a player's reserve deck or lost pile could be very useful, but often we're going to use it for its lost interrupt effect. If opponent just lost force from a battle, play to increase the force loss by 1, or if we don't have bad feeling have I, and your opponent plays, it could be worse. It is cancelled, and you may use X force to raise damage against the opponent by X amount. I did say we can search for Evader. We do have the Evader Monarch combo as well. Just a phenomenal card. Even being able to cancel revolutions. Obviously, revolutions aren't really played much anymore, but it's always good to have the option to do so. And again, if opponent has 13 or more cards in hand, place Soulbot 8 out of play, or lose it and use 4 force to make your opponent discard all cards that they have 2 or more copies of in their hand, and again, it's just phenomenal. And finally, we have You Are Beaten. Use 2 force to target a character present with your warrior with a lightsaber. Target cannot move or battle until your next turn, or use 1 force to search your reserve deck. Take 1 I Am Your Father into reserve Decipher, or cancel Uncontrollable Fury. Uncontrollable Fury might come across every once in a while. It's normally the first effect that we tend to use You Are Beaten for. So this is my Ralltiir Ops deck. I must give a huge shout out to YouTube user Steven Turner, who posted a few videos quite a few years ago now, just showing a few gameplays with GAMP. And how I built this deck and my QMC deck is I literally would stop his video and look at when he was searching cards from his reserve deck, and slowly, piece by piece, searching out the cards on GAMP to be able to put together this deck, because I didn't even know where to start with deck building. And just doing that really helped me to learn so many things about how to build decks in Star Wars, what's the use of starting effects, starting interrupts as well, even if you want to run shields, of course, the importance of the of our objectives, and it was a lot of effort. So one of the main reasons why I do these videos is to allow people to have access if they just want to casually play Star Wars CCG. Have a resource somewhere where you can look at these things, see what are good, what are bad in some of the decks that I post here. And yeah, again, just massive shout out to Steven Turner. May the force be with you. I hope he's okay. He stopped posting videos many years ago. I don't know whether that's his actual name or not, but I do know that I have learned a huge amount from those handful of videos he posted back in those days. And guys, please stay tuned for a very different Ralltiir Operations version. Um, for some of you who may have been looking at the comments under my videos, um, you might be pleased to see that we're gonna be building a deck like this. So yeah, stay tuned because this will be coming in due course. But up until next time, Saiyan signing out. Peace. Oh yeah, and like, comment, and subscribe as well. Apparently, I should be saying these. So yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe. Saiyan signing out. Peace. May the force be with you.